Ladies and gentlemen, will you please put your hands together for Jenn Foreman?
My partner Tom and I had been together for 14 years, and on a Thursday night, we settled in to watch a movie, as we often did. It was December 27th, 2012. Tom was sitting on our little red love seat. I was sitting on the bigger couch perpendicular to the love seat. My back was facing him. Halfway through the movie, he coughed a couple times. Something sounded weird about this cough, and I knew he wasn't feeling well. So I said, "Babe, are you okay?" And he didn't answer me. I said, "Honey, are you okay?" He still didn't answer me. I sprung up, I turned around, his head was back, his eyes were open, he was non-responsive, he wasn't breathing. I grabbed the nearest cell phone, I called 911 at 7:01 p.m. It took the paramedics 6 minutes to get to our apartment. It took me 4 minutes to get him off the couch to do CPR. It was absolutely terrifying, but it wouldn't have made a difference because he died instantly of a heart attack. This story does get sexy, I promise.
You got this, Jen.
Thanks. And in that moment, 14 years together, our whole life, my trajectory, everything had changed. I just lost the love of my life, and I just lost my best friend. So a couple weeks after he died, I started to go to a grief and loss group. And then a couple weeks after that, I went back to work, and everything had truly changed. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I was waking up like every hour. I was trying to work, but everyone was looking at me with this bewildered sadness and confusion. And I was coming home to our apartment that he no longer was at, that he also died in, that now I couldn't really afford because my finances had changed. Like, everything is just fucking smothering me. And I had not only lost my best friend and the love of my life, but I lost my hope and, my sanity, my laughter, my joy. And so a couple months into this process, I'm in grief and loss group one day, and you sit in this big circle, and everybody gets a chance to talk. And Nick, the facilitator, who is super sweet, this 60-year-old man who's been doing bereavement work for 25 years, which is amazing in and of itself. He has this beautiful silver hair, is very sweet, and he says, I'm crying, and everyone's usually crying. And he looks at me, and he's like, "Jen, anything you want to say? Because I always want you to kind of just check in a little bit." I said, "Yeah. Does anyone here ever feel like they need somebody to slap the living shit out of them?" And he was like, oh. And there was some like mild eruptive laughter and some nervous laughter and some head nodding, and because we all fucking get it. We were in the grief group together. I mean, this shit's real, And he looks at me and he says, "I appreciate that you're always honest, first of all." And honestly, this path of grief is different for everybody. There's no roadmap to this, and whatever you feel is right. There's no wrong in this, and the only way you get to whatever comes next in this process is to honor what you're feeling. And you especially had this like traumatic sudden loss, which is different than other kinds of loss. The sudden death is crazy. And so that kind of validated me, like, yeah, needing to get slapped kind of makes sense. And I kind of felt like it's like when you're watching, or at least I've seen TV shows where someone's going hysterical and then someone slaps the shit out of them, snap out of it, and I was like, yeah, I fucking need that to happen. I think it was starting to dawn on me too, what had really happened, that Tom is really dead, and this part of my life is over, because the first couple of months I'm just in this crazy fucking fog, like walking around. It's so confusing and strange. And so it was validating that he said that at the group, that he validated me, and I had already begun to develop this path for myself, routine of kind of doing whatever I needed to do. I was already sort of honoring my stuff, so if I felt like I needed to scream, I screamed into a pillow or on the rooftop with somebody. If I needed to break something, I'd go in my room and break something or steal something from a bar and break it in the street, whatever. If I needed to eat tiramisu, I fucking ate tiramisu. If I could sleep, I would sleep, whatever I fucking needed to do. So I leave the group and I'm like, I need to get fucking slapped. This is what needs to happen. So the next weekend, I go on my annual girls' beach trip weekend, and there's 10 of us, and I'm telling some of them, I need to get slapped. And they've been going through this process with me, and they're all extremely supportive. And so some of them are like, and they're all social workers, by the way, so some of them are like, I sort of get it, but I'm not going to slap you, And so we go to dinner. We all go to dinner. We come home to the house that we rented, and me and my friend Carrie and Allison, we go upstairs to this loft and we're drinking and talking and I'm crying and, stuff like that. And this goes on for a while. And then out of nowhere, Allison just fucking slaps the shit out of my right cheek. I mean, she just fucking lets me have it. And I was like, thank you so much. For fuck's sake, thank you so much. And I was laughing and they were laughing, and she was like, if you had any other reaction than that, I would not be okay with it. It's clearly what you need. And I started to take off my glasses and look at Carrie and say, well, you're going to have to even it out before I could. She just fucking slapped me across the left cheek. And again, just this complete release, and like I thought it would, it put me back on my body, and it just really centered me again. And for the next couple hours, we just repeated that process. We would start talking about something else, and then I forget that they slapped me. Then one of them would slap the shit out of me, and we laugh, and then the other one would even it out. And this went on the rest of the night, and it was awesome. Some of our other friends who wouldn't slap me kind of gathered around and watched. And it was a blast, and it helped. And so after the trip, I get home, and it really felt like that trip and, also a little bit of time, and then the slapping, of course, that it kind of grounded me, and I've kind of turned a corner now in the grief process. And I'm also getting really confident about, I need to just do what feels right for me. And so I'm thinking, well, now I need to have some fucking sex. So, okay. So one of my friends, and I'm also at this point, by the way, really missing physical affection. And that's one thing that I'm just so overwhelmed with just him being gone, period, that it's just now dawning on me too, wow, I don't have a hand to hold every day like I used to. I don't get hugs every time I leave. No one says I love you when I say goodbye or come home. I'm missing all this physical affection that we had. We would always kiss and touch. We were extremely close. So yeah, I'm I need sex. I need connection. So one of my friends, Johnny, we were friends for years, and then we had some feelings for each other, so we distanced ourselves because I was in a monogamous relationship. And he was out of the country when Tom died, and I had emailed him, and because I just felt like I wanted to connect with anyone I felt connected to. And I told him what happened, and he came back, and we started dating. And we started having sex, and that's what I needed. But it was kind of weird, because I felt guilty and not that great about the decision, but I always landed on Tom's dead. I mean, that's the truth. And that me getting fucked once in a while is not going to change that. So let's go with it, So we were having sex, and we have a lot of fun together, Johnny and I. And so one night we're in his house, and his roommates are out, and we're in the living room, and we're hanging out, we're dancing, we're having a couple tequila shots, and things are awesome. He spins me around, we're making out, spins me around, bends me over the dining room table, hikes up my dress, and fingers me. And I was like, woo, that's pretty hot. And it felt kind of naughty, which I haven't felt for a long time. And I was like, yeah, I like that. And so when he was done, he kind of lifted me back up, turned me back around, and he kissed me. And then he pulled me close, and he said, only a whore lets herself be touched like that. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. I was like, I'm a whore? I'm a whore. Yeah, sweet. And I was like, what the fuck's happening? Oh my God. Fucking go with it. I was also a little drunk. And which helped. And so in the morning, we wake up and I was like, so about the whore thing, I'm also a feminist. So that's kind of weird, And he was like, but Jen, with sex, like, also, you can have kinks and do stuff, and Tom and I were pretty vanilla, and so, but I consider myself an open person, so I was like, yeah, I'm not judgmental, so I'm not going to be judgmental about it. And he was like, just go with it. It's just the bedroom too. Like, it's bedroom talk. Like, don't sweat it. And I was like, sweet. Okay, I'm going to go with it. I'm a whore. Awesome. And so then as our relationship continues, it gets a little bit rougher. And he starts spanking me and he slaps me sometimes, which I like. And so I'm just going with it. And, one time he spits on me. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do it. And he smushes my face into the bed a few times. And it's pretty hot. It's awesome. I'm liking it. I'm getting what I need. So, but we're not exclusive, and so we're free to do whatever we want, and I'm still exploring this part of myself. And so one night I meet Alan, and Alan is 6'5", looks like Joey Ramone, ugly, sexy, if you know what I'm talking about. And he's got the neck tattoos and the knuckle tattoos, and he's literally a biker. And he comes home with me, and we proceed to have pretty nasty fucking sex for hours and hours. Sleep, fuck. And when he's going for a condom, he opens up my condom drawer and he sees my toys. And so later he incorporates some of those toys without me having to say anything. It's awesome, At one point, I'm on all fours, and he has 2 fingers in my ass, and Mr. Pink, my vibrator, in my pussy. And it's hot. I give him several blowjobs to completion, which I feel very proud of. And we're just in the morning, we're like in this post-orgasm bliss, and we're laying there, and I was like, I'm a great whore, aren't I? And he didn't even say, I'm not going to say that. He just was closes his lips, and I was like, oh, what? And I was like, maybe he's a feminist? I don't know. And also, that's your fucking line? Are you serious? So I said, okay, no, really, I want you to call me a whore. I like it. Call me a whore. He's like, I was like, okay. So I just kind of don't press the issue. And I was like, by the way, that was super fucking hot. So if you ever want to do that again, cool, no strings attached, do a regular thing. I'm down. And so then we get up and we make coffee and hang out, and then an hour later he takes off. He's like, I got a lot of shit to do. It's Saturday. I got to go. And so he goes, and never hear from him again. Doesn't ask for my number. And I was like, okay, was it the whore thing? I don't get it, but whatever. And so time goes on and things don't really work out with Johnny and I. And so a few months pass, and I just kind of concentrate on myself. And, I'm just working through this grief thing because it's a fucking long process, and I'm doing that, and then I'm like, I do like sex, and it does help me, and it's connecting, and it feels good. So, and I think I might want to try to start dating, and so I start online dating. Woo-hoo. And it's kind of crazy, you guys know, and so I meet some people, and it's kind of one and done dates, and then I meet this really nice guy, and he's super sweet, and he's also really tall, and a super nerd, and he's kind of kinky too. So I let him in on my secret, and spank me, rough me up, call me a whore, the whole thing. And he's down, and he tries, but man, he just doesn't quite hit the mark. He spanks me, and he's sort of awkward, and it just doesn't satisfy me. He doesn't really own it. And he one time he tries to tie me up, and I was like, ta-da, I'm out. And I was like, yeah, that's not, I don't know. And but we keep dating because he's also really comforting, and that's also something I need is comforting and connection. So we keep dating, but I'm still kind of looking for a little more chemistry. So there's this one guy I meet, and we hang out second date, we have sex, and then the next day he's like, you're a little intense for me. I think maybe you want to go faster than I want to go. I was like, dude, we just fucked. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but okay. So I was just like, whatever, I'm done with you. And then this other guy I go out with, and he did a similar thing, which I thought was interesting. And both of them, I was like, call me a whore, smack me on the ass, because at this point, it's like life in general is clear to me, right? Like, life is short, in case you guys didn't fucking know. It is. And I learned this the hard way. And what you want is what you want. So it's okay to say what you want. If we're here, we're going to share this moment, we're going to have sex. I'm going to tell you what I want. You can tell me what you want. It's all good, So I don't have any qualms. I'm not playing games anymore in life, right? And so this other guy, like he, second date, we have sex, and it's awesome. And I ask for the horror thing, everything. He does it. It's great. He seems really engaged in it. And the next day he's like, text me, that's always the best. And text me and says, you're really awesome. That's totally what I needed. But, first of all, your libido seems too high. I'm 41. I'm sorry. My libido's too high? Okay. And you're too intense for me. And I was like, fuck, what the fuck? Is it the horror thing? Is it me? Like, what's happening? I don't know. And so, I'm about to get off of the website. I'm like, whatever. And right before I get off, I see someone looking at my profile. So you do the thing where you're like, I like you, to see if they like you too, and we did. And so, and his profile, this is Matt, and Matt's profile kind of had similar authenticity and like life struggle in it that was really appealing to me. I was like, he's gonna understand me a little bit, but we'll see. And so we message each other, and we can't meet for a couple weeks. And so in these 2 weeks, we're exchanging messages, and I say to him, I've been on some dates, and some of these guys kind of run for the hills, and I'm not really sure what I'm doing. So, maybe, I don't know, you can help me figure it out. And so we meet at a coffee shop, and I'm walking up to the coffee shop. And first of all, he's sitting outside waiting for me, which I thought was very sweet. And so we walk up, introduce each other, and, we had been connecting through our messages and texts and stuff. And, he kind of pulls me to the side, and he says, I just want to look at you for a second. And he says, say something so I can hear your voice. And I was like, and oh, okay, something, and he was like, I'm not disappointed. Are you disappointed? And I said, no, I'm not. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. And so we go in for coffee, and we're like holding hands under the table. His hands are a little clammy, which is sweet because it's nervous. And then we move to the couch, and we kiss a little bit. And then like the coffee shop closes, and so I don't have a car, so I walk outside with him to his car, and I was like, I kind of still want to hang out. How about you? And he says, yes. I said, let's go to your house, So we go to his house. I'm like, let's have sex. He's like, okay. So we had sex, and right away I'm like, call me a whore. Smack me on that. Actually, I didn't ask him to smack me on the ass. I said, call me a whore, and he paused for a second, and I was like, oh shit. I lost him here. And he was like, you dirty little whore. And then he smacked me on the ass without me having to say anything. And I was like, yes. Fuck yes, finally, for fuck's sake. And so afterwards, it's great sex, great connection. And afterwards, I get up, I go to the bathroom, and I'm, naked in the bathroom, washing my hands. And he comes in. And he says, so I figured it out. And I said, what did you figure out? And he said, why guys like kind of run away from you after you have sex? And I was like, enlighten me. And he says, well, you're really honest. You've been through some hard shit in your life, and you're really open, and you know what you want, and you're not afraid to say it. And he was like, and the horror thing, like, no one's ever asked me to do that, and there's nothing wrong with it, but you have to kind of process it for a second, like, what is that coming from, and is this okay? And, and he was like, but you seem really cool and together, so I'm fucking gonna go with it. And so we're still dating, yay. And he not only, like, took the whore thing, like, he fucking owns it. He'll text me at work and be like, you're gonna suck my cock really good, or I'm gonna give you a spanking you won't ever fucking forget. And I'm like, yeah. which I thank you. And he will, sometimes he'll spank me really hard after sex, and then he'll take a picture of it and show me how pink my ass is. And I'll just sit there in this like afterglow of like returning from pain, into painlessness and like just sort of out of my body. And it's amazing because I've been through so much. It just feels good to have these moments of reprieve, and I have figured out that why this works for me, because I never wanted any of these things in my life, in my sex. And why this works for me is because, I went through something extremely traumatic. And in that trauma, I had to also make a lot of hard decisions about my life that I was never prepared to make. And it's really fucking hard, and it takes a lot of self-control, and I had to reach inside myself and find strength that I never knew I had. And having someone sometimes be like, get on your fucking knees and do this right now, shut your fucking mouth or open your fucking mouth, whatever. It feels really good. It feels safe. It kind of makes the world make sense again, when it really hasn't for a while. And so, Tom and I are still very connected, even though he's dead, and we were very connected in his life. And he was a very spiritual person, and he would say, I know from a soul level, I believe that you come into this life when you need to, and you leave when you need to go. And, I still talk to him, and I'll ask him, for advice or a sign for something. And so after he died, I was like, for months, babe, what the fuck? Like, why did you go now? I don't fucking get this. This is insane. And one day, clear as day, the answer was because I love you. And I understood that to mean that I was sleepwalking through my fucking life, and I hit my 40s and I became lazy and complacent. I wasn't living with intention, and I wasn't awake the way that I am now. And it was what I needed. I hate to say that, it's tragic, but he died when he died because I needed to wake the fuck up, and I needed a hearty slap in the fucking face.